بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم معكم مريم الصابري.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, I am Maryam AlSaabri. Today, with God willing, I will give you a glimpse of my success story during the previous period. To start, I will introduce myself and my academic qualifications. Of course, I hold a PhD in the field of national security, focusing on the national security perspective of the United Arab Emirates. Obviously, when we talk about the national security, we will not talk about all its aspects, but rather we will talk about how we can ensure tolerance in the United Arab Emirates in light of the cultural diversity that exists in this blessed land. The beginning, of course, is always difficult, but not impossible. That's what we all know, and that's what is embedded in our minds. I started during my bachelor's degree studies, of course, during that period of time before I joined Zayed University. I was trying as much as possible to prove my academic success in the general high school in order to earn the government scholarship granted by the UAE leadership. Indeed, after I was graduated, I got a scholarship, and that scholarship was to study nuclear engineering in the United States of America. But the biggest surprise is when you come from a conservative family in the United Arab Emirates community and you get refused from somewhere you don't expect. The refusal, of course, was not the end of my journey, but while I was enrolled in Zayed University to get the bachelor's degree, and because all the results were satisfactory to the university administration, I received a partial scholarship, let's say, a partial scholarship to the UK to do a practical internship at the States Embassy abroad. Well, at least I achieved part of my dream of studying abroad. And indeed, I went to United Kingdom, which is Great Britain, and the results were satisfactory. 45 days, and that period of 45 days was the turning point of my personal life. From which side? Of course, when I traveled there, it was my first trip outside of the UAE without my father, without my mother, and I was responsible for my younger brother. I mean, besides the fact that I was an expat and it was the first experience for me, I was also responsible for my younger brother who was accompanying me in this educational trip. A really important aspect came up to me. What is my plan for the next period after I return to the UAE? What are the dreams I want to achieve there? The period of time abroad was very hard for me. It is true that it was only 45 days, not a year, not 2 months or more, but it's still 45 days period was turning point for me because it allowed me to understand who Maryam is, what are my ambitions, and what do I want to, and what is my plan, and who is going to support me in those plans. When I went back to my homeland and I got my master's degree, which was in the security and strategic studies, thank God, I also got the highest cumulative GPA in the UAE, which brought me to the palace of Sheikh Mohammed. Of course, you all know who Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum is, the ruler of Dubai, the Emirate of Dubai, and the Prime Minister. While I was being greeted, he asked me, "What is your major, Maryam?" I told him, "My God prolong your life, it's the master's degree in security and strategic studies." He said, "Do you know why you are here in my palace today?" I told him, because I was told that is to pay tribute to the outstanding students, those who have achieved highest academic ranks in the country. He asked me, "What are your ambitions, Maryam?" I replied that my ambitions is to complete a doctorate in a similar field or in the same field. Then he said, "I will consider myself waiting for you to come to my palace with your doctorate in the coming period." My answer was, with God willing, if God grants me the ability to achieve this success. I left there knowing that I had to invest my PhD in some way. I have to go back to this palace to tell him, "God prolong your life, I have fulfilled the dream I promised you in 2015. Indeed, I started applying to a number of universities, and there are certainly some universities that rejected me, and there are other universities that had me for initial interview for my doctorate thesis, after which they will decide whether or not they are going to accept me or not. I wanted that so bad abroad because we don't have that expertise inside. I got approval from the Australian government to undertake this study, but online. Why online? Because I know that my father and my mother will refuse my traveling again, because that period of time is going to be 4 years or so on and so forth of me traveling abroad. So I had to take a solution so that they don't tell me no. I joined this online course and I was working at a governmental department, and while I was working at the governmental department would not allow me to devote myself only to the study. I used to wake up at midnight and take my classes online until 3 a.m. because at the time difference between the UAE and the Australia is three hours. This was all for the purpose of achieving my PhD. I have completed my studies, thank God. After my graduation, I thought that I should prove my foothold in the UAE, or rather in the Emirate of Dubai, more particularly. Thus, I sought to create a program with the cooperation of my department and with the opportunities available to me to offer a program that serves the governmental guidelines, such as shaping the future, and at the same time this program is distinguished by certain criteria that allow its members to complete their graduate studies without any complications. As a matter of fact, I was able to cooperatively work with a private sector entity, and we designed a program and we got the approvals, knowing that all the relevant employees of that department told me that this program would be rejected since we are a government department, not an educational institution. I told them, no problem, we will do our best and we will see what happens. Effectively, we have obtained permission to direct our project to an educational government entity for the first time, and the program was launched, and interested individuals who were willing to complete, they were provided with academic materials and were able to complete their postgraduate studies in different universities in the country. This itself was an achievement for me. It had an impact on the society, and I sought, in cooperation with my colleagues as working with them, to develop these existing skills, because there are actually a lot of people in the UAE community who face a number of difficulties in completing their postgraduate studies. Several batches have graduated, and we have reached a stage of being hosted by the government of Dubai to find out the main results and how we have been able to reach this stage of success at the level of the Emirate of Dubai and the UAE. But of course, you might have been wondering, did I stop there? But of course not. I did not stop there, though this journey and all these years I have discovered in myself that my passion is more socially oriented, which means that all my goals must have an impact on society. When I think about my success today, I see that my success must be linked to the society or social responsibility. And the words of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid at the end of 2020 had a great impact on me, where he said, my advice to you, all entrepreneurs and all investors and all young people who are thinking about entering the investment and commercial market, when bringing their ideas to the market, it should be an idea that serves the society or the social responsibility. It should have a positive impact, even if it is small. It should not be 100% commercial idea. So from that point of view, I thought, why I not have a role in the society and participate in change, even with something simple, whether if it is breaking some barriers, giving a specific opportunity, or building specific opportunities that can serve some groups among us that we may be neglecting at the moment. Indeed, I visited a cafe for people with determination, which is run by them. I work for my 2 children, and this has given me an opportunity. Humanity is the language of everybody. Today, the goal of this cafe is to break the ice between all categories of the society. So a special cafe for them, so that they can work and they manage themselves, and let's say they are the soldiers that are in the front line to give this society to all the rest of the society, this culture to the rest of the society. I am from the Philippines and I work as a waitress and sometimes a coffee maker. And here in the Gather Cafe, I wasn't born deaf. When I was 5, my ear got injured or got contaminated because of the antibiotic medicine. Today, the employees in this cafe, you can see that they are confident today. So in the beginning, normally when I put them in a direct contact with the client, they get afraid and they cover themselves behind me because they don't have that confidence to speak to the client. But now you can see that they are confident. They take the initiative to communicate and take back and forth with the client. Without sugar, a cafe without sugar will do. When I take the order from the client in the table, I say thank you with sign language. People think that I am sending them kisses. This sign means thank you. From the moment we opened the cafe, we were looking at the privileges given by the private sector or the governmental sector, whether if it is providing the platform, interpreters, and also the ministries, the RTA services. Those are all entities. All entities contributed in the success of this idea. Globally, this video, as I told you earlier, demonstrates that the passion I had is that any success I want to achieve has to have a social impact, regardless of the success, whether if it is at the business level or the academic level, and so on. That is, at all levels, it has to have an impact, however small, on the society. Maybe you see it as a simple matter because it is just a coffee shop, but my joy today comes from the joy of these people, as a job opportunity have been created and social barriers have been dissolved, as we spread the culture of sign language in the midst of our multicultural society, so that I can, for example, if I go to this coffee shop to order a cappuccino or an Americano, etc., I can at least know how to communicate with them. For example, I can say hello, I want a coffee, thank you, and goodbye. So 4 or 6 words in basic sign language, and I can use it everywhere. These kind of things are something that is widely perceived by many groups in our society, and the success that it is based on and supported by social responsibility is very impressive. To conclude this presentation, I would like to say something, since I have an academic experience in the field of forecasting the future. So I say that there is something that we need to know or take root in our minds, because today we ignore the unknown. This is the most important thing that we need to put in our minds. That is, we should not create limits for ourselves, but rather we can transcend these limits in some way. Because today we ignore that we don't know what we don't know. Therefore, we must understand that success is possible and the difficulties exist, but it is not impossible to overcome them, whether if I am a woman from a conservative family, from a European country, or from an Occidental country, and the outcomes are here in front of you today. Do you have any questions? Everything is clear. Thank you.